This is Rebecca Forney from Canfield, Ohio, and I'm listening to Nursery Podcast.
It's cold in this neck of Ohio tonight, and the style is right for a sad winter song. I feel lost like a speck in a pile out of sight, and though I try with all might, I just don't feel that strong. As we walk through the fields, trekking on snowy dirt, my eyes start to hurt, trying to see a smile. And we talk about fears, making our stories short. You are scared to get shot, your bravery goes for miles. And there's more miles to go as we walk the train tracks. I think we lost the rain back in the woods we just hiked. And the store signs can glow as we walk sidewalk cracks. I think we lost the town back, trading street lamps for kites. Over the dark, and some old parking lots hold my whimpering thoughts, and I'm on the next train. You and me, can't you see what this means? In the light of a torch, realize nothing is forced. Nothing is forced.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Nursery Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Boyle. I want to mention that Nursery is sponsored by Timeless Shots Photography. Go to timelessshots.com. My friend Brandon Hall is a very intuitive photographer. He'll photograph your band, he'll photograph your wedding, your family, he'll get your kid on Santa's lap, anything. He's got it all going on. It's his full-time job and he knows what's up. Timeless Shots Photography. You can also find them on Instagram. I think it's Timeless Shots Photography, all one word, or just Timeless Shots. Look them up. And then timelessshots.com again is the website. Also sponsored by a juicery in Boardman, Ohio that I work at, the Orange Avocado. That's 1393 Boardman Canfield Road in Boardman, Ohio. Check them out if you like juice, smoothies, oatmeal, salads. Shots such as the Boost shot with turmeric, lemon, and ginger help you with your immune system. And then lastly, sponsored by the Jimmy Fro Show. Check them out. Subscribe to them on iTunes on your podcast list. They've featured many guests, including myself, talking about my band Third Class and other things like that. There's even an interview with the lady who runs the Grog Shop in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. So check out the Jimmy Fro Show. Find them on iTunes. Actually, my guest, weirdly, is Jim Martin, who runs the Jimmy Fro Show. So, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's going
on? I wanted to talk to you because you're a returning guest on a more specific theme than last time. Hardcore Nursery fans will note that you and me talked about your childhood and your beginnings on the last time we were on. I think we had something called Podcasts and Music. I think that was the episode. So if people get hardcore about wanting to hear Jim Martin again, or if you haven't heard his previous podcast, you can find Nursery's profile on archive.org and find the episode entitled Podcasts and Music. But anyhow, I want to talk about confidence today. Confidence. So you wanted to talk to me about confidence through the eyes of a well-known comedian, right? Steve Martin.
Yes.
There's a record called Let's Get Small.
Yes.
Talk to me about the bit that stands out to you when you think of confidence.
Well, it's sort of a double-edged sword when we reference this bit, because I've always found myself as like a class clown or the funny guy amongst my friends and family. And I'm funny because I say things that most people won't say. I'm willing to take that risk. But there's a bit on Let's Get Small where he talks about, wouldn't it be funny if you raised your kid and you taught him the definition of words but mixed them all up and taught him all the wrong words, and one day he's in class and the teacher calls on him, he's like, "Excuse me, can I banana hammock the pants on the lawyer attorney fruit mixer?" And it's like, I have had so much fun with that kind of goofy, absurdist comedy that it's stayed with me. So when you start creating, if I can use the big word, neural pathway, you start talking like that for the purpose of making people laugh, you do create these unusual paths, and you sort of handicap yourself at times when it comes to language. So I guess, being that we're talking about confidence, I wanted to say that, yeah, it's great to be funny sometimes, but other times when you want to express an adult thought, you know, I have moments where I struggle because I'm always wanting to take the road less traveled and find that weird metaphor or make a joke that's ironic. And that's fine, but, you know, you run into trouble when you want to just communicate.
Okay, yeah, so do you get, this happens to me a lot, do you get, do people think you're joking when you're not sometimes? Because that happens to me a lot. It's my own fault, but does that happen to you?
It happens to me a lot because I have a deadpan delivery, and I'm sort of robotic to begin with. So if they know me to say one-liners and be sarcastic, when I'm not sarcastic, sometimes they don't know, or they'll ask. Mm-hmm. It's like, is that a joke? Or I'll say something serious, and they'll like give me a courtesy laugh, and to where I have to say, well, no, actually, I'm not joking. I meant that.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, you and I have to own that. That's definitely our own fault. Like, because, and no big deal, but like, it's because we worked so hard on our deadpan. Yeah. Like everything else goes out the window. But so Steve Martin talked about getting things wrong and stuff. So when you like absurdist things, you like comedy essentially for anyone is, wait, that's not usually how someone does that. That's what a joke is. It's when something doesn't go as it usually goes, right? That's comedy. Mm. So why is it not funny to you when you actually are at a loss for words? That's my question. Like, you know how you said you've stunted your own like language, and sometimes because you're thinking too deep into something, or you have joked so much that then when you try to be serious, it doesn't work. Why is it then not hilarious that you messed up? You know what I mean?
I think it's a struggle of wanting to wear two hats, or maybe it's a struggle of owning who I am. Mm-hmm. I think I sometimes wish that I was taken more seriously. And, you know, I have a sort of a sense for when people respect you and when they don't. And I know what I look for in respecting somebody else. And I like people that can be very effective communicators. And you're one of those people. I mean, you not only can talk intelligently and use an array of words, but you can talk poetically as well and make the communication practical and enjoyable to be a part of. And, you know, I don't always have that luck. So I guess maybe it's a little bit of greed that I want to be a musician, I want to be funny, and I want to be a serious, intelligent guy, you know?
Oh, okay. So it's not so much what the situation entails, it's that you'd like control, a little bit of control of the situation, kind of, right? Like that makes sense. I think I'm asking that as a universal question. I think a lot of people are like you in that if they're planning something as a prank, like the Steve Martin hypothetical prank on the kid, then it's funny to them. But if stuff just comes out wrong unplanned, it's not funny to them.
You feel like an imbecile.
Yeah, you feel like an imbecile, even though you may have made a joke that was exactly like the same thing you just messed up, you know, like, but I think everyone's like that. It's like, if they weren't trying to tell you a joke, then it's not supposed to be funny. You know, it's like when someone falls down and it happens to be funny to somebody else. Yeah. And they can't help but laugh. Like, it's like, but to them, they're like, I didn't plan that to make you laugh, so it's not funny. You know, like that ego thing kind of gets in the way.
But I think if I was like a once a day weed smoker, or maybe a weed smoker at all, then I could embrace like the whole Jeff Spicoli, wasted surfer dude, you know, man, just, it doesn't matter that I'm an idiot, you know. But
yeah. Right, that you could laugh at yourself
Yeah,
more.
right.
Okay.
That it doesn't matter. You don't
That's
care.
funny. Yeah. But okay, so confidence in general, like if it comes from, you know, misguided attempts at conversation or whatever, that's one thing. But have you ever had just like an accidental moment where you realized you were just good at something? Like, here's a good example. I don't know, I can't speak for him, but my friend Peppy, who's in my band Third Class, that I talk a lot about on this podcast, when I was younger, I was only 2 years into knowing him, and I was about 13 or 14 maybe. And we had this weird we had an English class. And the English class, you had to like, there was some word game going on. And if you got the word, you spelled the word right. Maybe it was just a spelling game that the teacher invented. You spelled the word right, you got to shoot into a basketball into the wastebasket. And if you made it, you moved back and you shot again. And if you made it, you moved back and shot again. Then you got to spell another word. Some crazy rules. And my friend Peppy, he kept making the baskets. He just made the baskets over and over again. Kept backing up till he was across the room, and he kept making them. Everybody went wild. And I'm certain that he didn't know he was going to make it. But people were cheering for him, and all of a sudden he turned his brain off and just was in. Have you ever had an experience like that where you just like, you didn't think anything was going to happen? You're like, oh, whatever. And all of a sudden your confidence just shot through the roof.
Yeah, I think that's a general thing that happens with anybody. If you're able to turn your brain off, as you said, and you're in the moment, you're present, that way everything is focused on the one thing that you're doing. So I think I can relate to that personally, and I think that's just a universal truth that if you can turn your brain off, a lot of good things can happen.
Yeah. And do you have an example? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot a bit, but do you have an example of something that happened to you, or something that you are generally good at that has surprised you in your life?
You know, I have like a strange memory. For example, when I worked at UPS, I was able to memorize the zip codes for the entire state of New York because I worked in the hub and I had to sort the packages.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Then you probably had no clue that you'd be good at that, right?
No.
Yeah.
And the same with lyrics too. If it's other people's music, not my own, if I don't think about what's the next verse and just wait till that beat hits, the lyric comes out of my mouth. It's kind of crazy.
So with you, memory has been some strong suit. Yeah, that's interesting. So the zip code thing. Now, what's that about? Does that mean that you remembered zip codes as according to like cities?
Yes.
So you could just say them for a lot.
There were a lot of them that I could.
Yeah, that like stuff you saw a lot.
Yeah, like Lockport, New York, I think is 14610. I don't know how I still remember that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny. It's the stuff you don't. It's perfect.
But I trained my brain to do it. Like, if it's a matter of training your brain and going through some type of a mechanism to commit it to long-term memory, that's one thing. But like, for example, on my podcast, I sometimes get frustrated because I want to remember the members of a band, or I want to remember the name of the last Third Class record. Yeah. And it's like, for some, it's just right there. They can pull it out. For me, I can't pull it out all the time.
Yeah, but that's not a bad problem to have, because, like, in all honesty, that stuff's not that important. You know, like, if you know the music's doing something for you and you can find the song now and listen to it, that's all that matters. It's not like, you know, like when you don't remember someone's name but you like totally remember their personality and it's like totally notable to you.
Yeah,
like that's because their name doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the title of the album doesn't matter a whole lot. It's not like you're like, I'm so glad they titled it that. You know, who cares? You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe you do, maybe like a lot of us, you remember the important things. No, on the other end of the spectrum, have you ever, well, you kind of mentioned one general thing just now, but you ever surprise yourself with something you definitely thought you were good at and you sucked? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, here, I'll give you another example just to lead you in, and maybe it'll make you think of something like the zip code thing. So like, I have been in the delivery service for most of my life, on and off, and I'm still not good at directions. I've been at forever, like since 2004. I was in some sort of capacity driving or delivering or something like that, until recently. And I still don't have a sense of direction at all. And I'm talking like, even when I'm walking into a building and I come in the hallway and stuff, I don't remember where the door I came in, and I can't find my way out again. Like, I'm terrible. Like, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean I got lost all the time. I would have certain things that I did start to remember after practicing forever, but like way more practice than your zip code thing. It was like, because I'd been there so many times delivering pizza or stuff like that. I mean, I would take the wrong turn out of the driveway so many, not my own driveway, but out of whoever's driveway.
So you're like me, like when someone says, oh, you go east on 82 or west on south, whatever, you're like, what? Yeah,
and I can kind of talk like that now, but it's only after so long of doing this.
Yeah.
And I still don't really know where I'm going. But anyways, yeah. Do you ever have something you definitely thought you're like, I got it, and you didn't have it?
I wouldn't say that I sucked at it, but like when I listen to old recordings of my vocals, at that time, I was a voice major and I was singing every day. So even though I was better then than I am now, to listen back to those old band recordings, I'm like, wow, Jim, you really weren't all that. And it's like, and maybe it's just something that's like wine. As you listen to more music and you get older, you can home in on what is good and what's not, and you step outside of yourself and listen to yourself from a secondary point of view, and you can be more critical. But yeah, I mean, I'm a person that really appreciates great singing, great execution vocally, and to hear my old recordings, sometimes I feel like I'm really not all that.
That's funny, man. Now, are you referencing the stuff that we played on the other episode that you were on? Because that stuff seemed pretty solid.
With a tiny bit of help from auto-tune, but if it's something that I'm hammering and I have all day in the studio to redo, sure. Yeah, I think I have the tools. I mean, I have really good pitch.
You do.
But I don't sing every day, and that's what it comes down to.
No, okay, so people that are listening that are familiar with you, that are like Jim Martin fans or Jimmy Fro Music Show fans, is there anything like any projects on the horizon as far as that goes? I know you did for a while, you're associated with Mind Rocket Project, which I gotta shout them out. They do lots of stuff with like bands doing like videos, and they have their own studio and stuff like that. But also, are you writing? Do you write songs now in your spare time sometimes? Or like, what's the deal with the music and you right now?
Right now, I am finally finding a way to address a handicap that I've had my whole life. I'm not one to sit down and pull lyrics from a stone, and that's what it feels like. It's hard for me to sit down and write a song. I end up getting a sentence, one verse, and then it just gets lost under a couch or something. So about a year ago, I thought to myself, I have all these friends now from doing this podcast, plus just friends that I've played music with throughout the years. Why don't I go to my friends that are pretty good at songwriting? Because historically, when someone has presented me an idea, whether it be lyrical or just a musical progression, once I hear it, all these ideas just start bombarding me. I mean, especially with vocal melody schemes and melody cadences. If someone gives me a nice piano part or a nice guitar progression, I get all kinds of different ideas for melody. And if they say, well, here's something like, for example, there's a song that Shiloh Hawkins and I wrote together. It's for this project I'm talking about called Song in a Day, which essentially is just a way for me to bring in my friends to help me with my codependent songwriting issue.
Awesome, man.
And she brought to me just some things she had journaled. And once I seen what she had journaled, I could complete a phrase, I could substitute in a word, I could say, well, let's repeat this line here and make that the chorus, and what if we said this? So once something is there first, I can add on to it.
Nice.
But to pull something out of the sky, I have 1,000,001 thoughts. I mean, I have severe ADD, which goes back to that turning your brain off thing. But I can't write a song that well. I have written some, like for example, I've written one about my mom when she passed. It was sort of like an open letter to her. It's called Everything. that's a song that I am proud of.
Nice.
And a friend of mine who was a mentor of mine at one time, his name's Mike Garrigan, he told me that of all the songs that I've bounced off him, he likes that one because it's sincere.
Nice.
And I took that note and took it to heart.
So you mentioned a couple things you thought you didn't suck at, but were questionable at. One being when you were younger, melody now, which is your bread and butter, it's all good. And then secondly, more currently, writing completion of a song. But you were so quick to fix that. That's pretty cool. You didn't let it get you down. You were like, hey, if I bring in one more person, we'll knock this thing out. And that's good.
Eventually, I didn't let it get me down, but it's been bothering me for a long time.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. Well, Song in a Day, where can fans go to find that?
There's no presence as of yet, but I'm actually looking for somebody to come in and be the front of this endeavor, because I hope I'm not oversharing, but because of all the balls I juggle and just my nature to not be very razor sharp when it comes to doing things right. I'm not very razor sharp when it comes to doing things right. I tend to do things and just sort of in my mind at the time I think, it's good enough, and then I realize later it really wasn't good enough. So I'm looking for somebody to be the front of this Song in a Day thing so that it can be taken seriously, and the artists that I'm involving, they get the serious credit that they deserve for being a part of it. And I think in turn it would inspire me to be more careful and be more sharp about what I'm doing.
Cool, man. Okay, well, then listeners, definitely go check out, like I mentioned earlier as a sponsor, Jimmy Fro Show on iTunes, and maybe be updated through there eventually when it does happen, I imagine.
Yeah, and there's a video coming out featuring the first song with Shiloh Hawkins. It's called Winter's Come and Gone, and there'll be a video for that at the Jimmy Fro Show YouTube channel. And also, you did, I think, the very first installment.
It's awesome.
And it's called Put Up With Me. Mm-hmm. It's about 95% done, but I have video footage for that too, so that too will be at YouTube/Jimmy Fro Show.
Awesome.
And we'll feature it here on the podcast, which I think we actually played a clip of it the last time you were on the Jimmy Fro Show.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so guys, I want to say thanks for listening to Nursery, and I want to say make sure you check out Jimmy Fro Show. Check it out on YouTube. Check out the Jimmy Fro Show on iTunes, like I said. And also, Jim Martin was on the track on my band's new album, Virginia's Playlist. So I know I've been gone for a while, so this is our return episode, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there, waiting around for me and the band to get that album out. It's now out in 2017. Go to thirdclass.net and check it out. And the last track, the closing track on Virginia's Playlist, which is available on Spotify, Apple Music, and through free shipping compact disc and soon to be vinyl, is called Sweet Potato. Jim Martin plays some light guitar in the background along with some other guest musicians who I want to shout out now: Sam Goodwill, Aaron Kane, and of course just me and the guys from Third Class. Check out the last track on Virginia's Playlist, Sweet Potato, at thirdclass.net. Check out the Jimmy Fro Show on iTunes, and make sure you keep listening to Nursery. Look, Mom,
I'm on a podcast.
That's right.
We went to the old folks' home. Grandma sat there all alone. We didn't have too many words. We felt a little bit absurd. Sweet potato, take me away. Eat at the table, how was your day? I wish I could stay. Sweet potato, take me away. We talked about the president. We talked about places we went. We talked about when we were young. We talked and it was kind of fun. Sweet potato, take me away. Eat at the table, how was your day? I wish I could stay. Sweet potato, take me away.
This is DJ from Bitter Alms in a Juice Shop. You're listening to Nursery, podcast from Ohio's creative voice.
Yeah.